Hello and welcome back to the Purposeful Shift. I'm your host Emma Bryant and I'm so glad that you're here. If you've been following along since we launched, you will know that the last few episodes have been helping you to think about reconnecting with your personal why and rediscovering your sense of purpose through the idea of Ikigai, your reason for being, and our special guest episode last week with Alison O'Neill. Today in this episode, we are going to take all of that reflection and begin to look forward. Because at some point after the reflection, the clarity and the letting go comes that question of, well, what's next? This episode will move you into a process of future-focused thinking, which is about gently shifting your energy from what's been and gone towards what is unfolding ahead of you. It's about how to release the past, realign your mindset, and to start manifesting your next chapter from a place of belief and confidence rather than fear. So whether you are listening to this whilst you're on a walk, whether you have your journal open ready to note what comes up for you, or if you simply just need a little spark of encouragement today, I hope this episode helps to give you some clarity on what comes next for you. So to begin with, I'd like to touch on why we stay stuck in the past. We all carry stories of what's happened in our lives, what didn't work, or where we feel we've fallen short. And if you listen to my very first episode, you will have likely heard a few of my stories. Sometimes without meaning to, we start living from those stories and letting them shape our beliefs instead of reflecting and learning from them. When your focus stays on what you could have done differently or what went wrong, you keep your energy anchored in the past and often in a negative state. And then it's near impossible to create a positive new future while your thoughts are rooted in what's already been. So you've probably heard about manifestation, and maybe you practice the art of manifestation yourself. Maybe you haven't explored manifestation yet, but I expect at some point it will have come up in a conversation that you've had, or probably crossed your mind, or been something that you've considered. Whatever you believe about manifestation, at its heart, manifestation is the practice of aligning your thoughts, your beliefs, and your emotions with where you want to go, not where you've already been. So it encourages you to think forwards rather than backwards. There's a saying which I like, which goes, "The past was your teacher, not your destination." So in today's episode, I want to encourage you to think of this as a gentle mindset shift, shifting from looking backwards and spending time thinking about the past, and to instead look forward with faith and openness and excitement and opportunity. Future-focused thinking is not about ignoring your past. It is about choosing not to live there. It's giving yourself the space to reflect and then to give yourself permission to move forwards instead of dwelling on the past and what happened and how it impacted you. It's saying to yourself, yes, that happened. Yes, I learned. And now I'm choosing to build from here and from those experiences. This kind of thinking begins with your vision. When you start to imagine your next level self or your future self, how she moves, what she believes, what she says yes to, even what she wears, where she goes, what she eats, how she acts, what her typical day looks like, your brain begins to seek evidence to make that vision real. When our imagined experiences are very vivid, our brains can actually confuse those internal or imagined experiences with external or perceived experiences. So you can literally start creating your future in your present moment. So here's something that I would like you to consider just for a moment. The future isn't something you wait for. It's something that you create through your energy, through your thoughts, and through your aligned actions. Before you can fully step forward into the future version of you, it is likely that you might have to make peace with what you are leaving behind. And that might mean releasing old self-doubts or habits that no longer serve you, or expectations that were never really yours to begin with. And I talked a lot about that in an earlier episode where we looked at shoulds and at other people's expectations and the damaging impact of those on ourselves. What's really important to remember here is that letting go doesn't mean forgetting. We are not looking to block our past and the things that happened. As I mentioned earlier, we want to reflect on those things that have happened and learn from those experiences. But we do need to think about letting go in order to free up our mental energy. I expect you've heard this statistic before, and it's been said that we can have up to 60,000 thoughts in a single day. Some research has recently challenged that, and that number's been reduced to a tenth of that. But even still, a claim of 6,000 distinct thoughts a day is an awful lot to be running through our minds. And we can help conserve our mental energy using practices like mindfulness and journaling to enable us to focus on more meaningful or productive thoughts that we want to have, rather than letting our thoughts lead us to feel overwhelmed by all of that mental noise. And as you can imagine, thoughts from your past will naturally contribute to that mental noise that we experience every day. And many thoughts around our past actions or events are quite repetitive in nature, which in turn can lead to learned patterns and cognitive loops that end up being quite unhelpful for our progression. To help ourselves think forwards, we can start to reflect on some key questions. So you might start to think about, what are you ready to stop carrying into your next chapter? What beliefs or fears are you ready to release? And what version of you are you ready to say thank you to and outgrow? In doing this kind of reflection, you are not looking to be critical, but instead appreciative. You can show yourself gratitude for the experiences that taught you something and the actions that you've taken. And you can trust that they've done their job now and they can now be set free. Just like in a physical space, when we clear that mental and emotional clutter, the space opens up for inspiration to flow again. People sometimes think that manifestation is about blind optimism, but manifestation starts with really intentional energy. When your thoughts are focused on lack, your energy contracts and you send out negative vibrations into the universe. And you attract more of the same. You attract lack back. When your thoughts are focused on possibility, your energy actually expands and you send out positive vibrations into the universe. You attract back more positivity and more opportunity. And I believe whether you call it faith, intuition, universal flow, it always responds to expansion and positive vibrations. So how do you become and stay future focused? I've got 3 mindset practices for you that I think will really help. The first is to visualize daily. So to give yourself time and permission to picture what your next chapter looks like. What do you want to come next for you? Where are you in this next chapter? What are you doing? How does it feel? What emotions come up when you imagine yourself there? The more detail that you can give your mind, the faster it begins to believe that this future is possible. The second is to affirm what's unfolding. So speak in affirmations as though it's already happening. For example, I am creating more ease in my work. I am attracting aligned opportunities. I am becoming the woman that I've always wanted to be. These statements help to train your subconscious to support your growth rather than resist it in the areas which are really important to you. The third thing is to take one aligned step forward frequently. Manifestation isn't only about mindset, it's about movement too. It needs actions as well as thoughts. So each inspired action that you take proves to yourself that you believe in your vision. It reinforces your commitment and your energy and your progress and your confidence and your belief. As we're now in May, there's another 6 weeks or so until the summer solstice, a day which is recognized for gratitude and reflection and celebration. For many people, the summer solstice symbolizes abundance and growth and natural energy. So it can be a really great time to think about future version of you and to redirect your thinking away from your past. So if you have a journal, you could try reflecting on these prompts, and I'll pop them in the show notes so you can revisit them later if you aren't able to journal on them immediately. The first is, what am I ready to release before the summer solstice? What am I ready to release before the summer solstice, which is the 21st of June, by the way? How do I want to feel in the second half of 2026? Emotionally, mentally, and energetically. That's how do I want to feel in the second half of 2026, emotionally, mentally, and energetically. The third is, what would my future self thank me for doing today? What would my future self thank me for doing today? If you can try to write your thoughts as though these things are already happening, so use present tense and try to believe it and feel it when you're writing it down. Whilst I know it can be difficult to believe initially, I really, truly do believe that when you think and you feel from your future, your energy does start aligning with that future version of you that you're imagining. I want to touch briefly again on the point around perfection, which has come up in past episodes as well. So perfect to me doesn't exist. I don't believe in perfection, not in nature, not in anything. So in my opinion, there's no point waiting for a perfect time because a perfect time will never, ever come. There might be better times or less good times to make change, but will you actually know when those better times are without the benefit of hindsight? I suggest to you that you create your future by choosing moment by moment to really believe that change is possible and that you are in control of that change and that the future you want is already within your reach because you can see it and importantly, you can feel it too. Your future isn't somewhere out there. It's already in motion and it's being shaped by every choice that you make today. We make our future our reality with every small step forward, and every one of those steps is progress. So as I wrap up today's episode, I want to invite you to look ahead with curiosity, to allow yourself to think big, to dream big, to imagine vividly, to picture clearly, to really feel your future version of you. I would like you to believe that the woman you are becoming is already within you and that you have full control over her evolution. She is built moment by moment through your belief, through your awareness, and through your willingness to take aligned actions towards your dream future. I hope that you can let that guide you this week to becoming even more future focused. I urge you to try and let go of what's heavy and trust that everything that you are working towards is already finding its way to you. Thank you so much for joining me today for this episode of The Purposeful Shift. If it resonated with you, I would love to hear your reflections and you can share them with me over on Instagram at The Purposeful Shift. If you haven't already, please tap to follow or subscribe wherever you listen so you don't miss next week's episode. Until then, please stay focused on what's ahead and keep showing up for the future version of you that you are already creating. Thank you for spending a part of your day with me today. See you soon.